Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1. Alright, hello and welcome to round, I believe we are at round 13 now. Yeah, round 13 of the VRL F2 season here at the Autodromo Carlos Pace in Sao Paulo, Brazil, also known as the Interlagos circuit. Very fond of this circuit myself. I'm sure a lot of the drivers are excited to be here. You know, with some iconic turns such as the Senna S's and turn 14, 15, which that big bank. Certainly a fun track, both to watch and to drive. Our championship is already decided. M&T Carem is your F2 champion, sitting on, I believe, 186 points. So yes, Carem is on 185 points, 85 points clear of Alex Bomberg, but that does not mean the championship is over. Still super tight in the fight for second, third, fourth, and even fifth. TRT Kimi is in fifth place with 84 points. In front of him are the two Renaults of Virus and Wakanda with 87 and 97 points respectively, and Alex Bomberg is in P2 with 100 points. So obviously still very close. Couple new drivers on the grid today. We have Shadowblade in the McLaren, the driving Dutchman in the AlphaTauri, the return of SLR in the Ferrari, who we have not seen in a while, and Andre Jamil in his home GP, hoping to you know, have a positive race, as the first car is out on the track. I believe that is Alex Bomberg. Yes, it is, as he will exit the pit lane right onto the Rete Aposta. Certainly, if it's anything like last year's F2 race here at Sao Paulo, and it's certainly going to be very exciting. That race ended very, very close, both in qualifying and in the race, so hopefully we have some of that same excitement on our hands. In terms of the Constructors' Championship, let me pull that up real quick, because that has not been decided yet. BWT Racing Point is in first place with a grand total of 219 points, with a lot of those coming from Carem. As we see, Yori joins us. I believe he will be in the AlphaTauri. Red Bull Racing bringing up second place with 177 points. Renault only 3 points back of them, so again, close in the constructor standings. And if Red Bull has a good weekend here, I say weekend, but it's really only a few hours here on Saturday, with Leroy and iQuicks, who certainly have been pretty competitive in the last couple of races, we could see that gap close up and head to an exciting final race at Abu Dhabi, which I believe is next weekend, if I could just check that here. I know Abu Dhabi is going to be our final race. Let me just go to the calendar real quick. As Alex Bomberg now into this second section, which is full of elevation changes, long and winding. Looks like he's got a bit of a Brazilian-themed helmet for today, which is a pretty nice touch. The schedule, scroll all the way down here, unfortunately. Yes, no, not next weekend. It is going to be on the 29th, which I believe is a Sunday. I don't know why. It might not. It might end up being the 28th, because I believe, yes, today is the 14th. So that's either on Saturday or Sunday of not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend after. So that's in 2 weeks' time. First couple of drivers coming across the line here. We're looking at mid 107s to low 108s. Shadow Blade is the quickest of the first runners. As I say that, Andre sets a 106.8, which is absolutely rapid. Pretty absurd. I believe the lap record here, I was doing some reading in real life, is a 1 minute 10 from Valtteri Bottas. So our driver's already smashing that. 106, that seems ridiculously fast. Yeah, that's interesting. Shadowblade, like I said, a new driver. Certainly looks comfortable as of now. Only half a second back of, I say provisional pole position, but we've got just under 14 minutes left to go in this session, so that will most likely change as he will bring it into the pits. Probably pretty happy with that first run. Let's go ahead and find someone who's on a flying lap. I believe that is SLR, but that lap time, as you see, is invalidated. It was a 108.8. Looks like he'll go for another run, though. That ERS is still in hot lap mode. So it looks like he's just going to give it another go. So he's going to keep pushing. Got some nice slipstream down the red A Aposta from Alex Bomberg in that Mercedes. Of course, in real life, we just saw Interlagos sign a new, I believe, 5-year deal with F1. So there were rumors of the championship, the race in Brazil, moving from Sao Paulo, but that is not the case, or even building a new circuit. But F1's decided to keep them on board, and in my opinion, that's a great decision. Like I said earlier in the stream, I really do enjoy this course, and certainly been home to some exciting races, as it is towards the tail end of the F1 calendar. So we see SLR still in behind Alex Bomberg as he climbs up the hill towards the long final sector. This final sector is essentially just the back straight in this curve right here. So going to bring it all the way to the outside across the line. It's a 107.4 from SLR, so has a lap time validated, decides to stay out, and probably pretty happy with that, as he and Alex Bomberg are both going to cut the Senna asses. That's funny. I'm always scared that the guys will collide when they cross or they cut the corner like that in order to get back to their pit box as fast as possible and put on a set of new tires. But incident avoided there, which is of course good to see. Now it looks like pretty much all the cars are either in the pits or on their in-lap, but as we see quite a few, including our provisional pole setter Andre in the pit lane as of now, but they are surely soon to come out. World record is 5.9. Yeah, maybe. I was looking at the Wikipedia article earlier. I don't really know. Oh, that was the race lap record. Okay, that makes more sense. So the record for an in-race lap is a 1 minute 10. So, yeah, that does make sense that these lap times are quicker than that, seeing that that lap was done in a race. But still, that does not take away from the speed of that lap. That is certainly a very competitive effort there from Andre. I believe this is maybe his second or third race in F2, so taking a step down today just to get some laps in, and certainly paying off for him as of now, as Alex sets a 106.9, so certainly very, very quick from those two. Of course, both of them with F1 experience under their belts, so it is expected that they're going to be pretty quick. Another guy with a lot of experience is Virus, who's been very quick. Purple final sector there for Virus, puts him up into third place as he slows it way down through the S's. Now, interestingly enough, our champion, Karem, is down in P12, last of the current runners, although he does improve in that first sector, so we'll see if that carries over. Pretty much this entire racetrack consists of the middle sector. The first sector is just the Senna S's and the Red A Aposta, and the third sector, as I said, is pretty much just the back straight as Karem's lap time gets invalidated. But it's interesting how it's set up, where, you know, the second sector is pretty much all that matters, because it's unlikely that you're gonna make a mistake in that first or third sector. So I guess the Senna S's could trip you up from time to time, but that second sector is really where the race or qualifying is won and lost. But certainly impressive stuff here from our top two. Yeah, I mean, sheesh, 106 is certainly a competitive lap time, but if you look top to bottom, first to current last place is only separated by less than 2 seconds. So like I said, last race around the circuit, super duper competitive, and it looks like this race is no different as a McLaren brings it into the pits. That is not Pepin, Shadowblade. P4 currently with a competitive 107.1. Almost 107.2, but we'll give him we'll shave off 0.08 of a second for that 107.1. But as of now, Andre, Alex, and Virus look like the boys to beat. Virus now headed out on his outlap for, I believe, what is his second flying lap, as Kimi sets a lap time of a 109.1. So he'll certainly be looking to improve upon that. Kimi runs wide at the, where is that? That is at the end of the Senna S's. Puts it into the wall. Trying to cut the chicane to get back to the pit. As I said, I'm always afraid an incident like that will happen, and it has happened for Kimi. Most likely some wing damage on the car there, but luckily no damage to the suspension. He's able to keep the car going, and he will try and limp that car back to the pits, slap on a new wing, new tires, and try to get going again. As you see there, pretty heavy damage to that right side. The car's really twitchy through that middle sector. He's going to slow it way down. And if Javi's on a flying lap, that is, yeah, Javi is on a flying lap. That is super really unfortunate for Javi. Getting stuck behind a stricken teammate when you're on a flyer is certainly unfortunate. No ERS deployment for Javi, so he it looks like he kind of knows that this lap might be a bit of a throwaway due to Kimi's incident. He might do who did that earlier. I think it was SLR that stayed out for another lap, but nope. It looks like he will now bring him to the pits. Hits the 80-meter board on the way in. And oh my goodness, it just gets tighter and tighter between these boys. Really close between them. Almost nothing to separate them as Alex heads up the hill once again, just absolutely whipping it in through that section. That's really impressive stuff from Alex. Krem is in front, pulls off the racetrack, and Alex unfortunately seems to have overstepped his bounds a bit as he loses the back end with the pump of the throttle, possibly in frustration. Did not look like he missed that apex by much. Looks like the boys are getting a bit racy here, which is interesting to see. Normally Alex, fairly calm, cool, and collected. But I will say that Karim did make that kind of difficult for him, as Virus snags provisional pole with a little over 5 minutes left in this session. Good stuff from the man in yellow. As we see Alex's tire marks down the hill through this section. It's funny to see those there. But good stuff from Virus. He's had pace throughout the season. Not always able to convert it into wins or into high point scoring positions, but I think he is in a fair. I'm not going to pull it up now because that's too much work, but I do believe he is in a fairly solid championship position. So I'm sure the boys over at Renault will be happy with that season. I believe they're 3-4 in the championship. I think that Wakanda's ahead of Virus. No Wakanda today, so maybe Virus was able to close that gap as Indigo joins us in Lance Stroll's number 18. Of course, in real life, Lance Stroll grabbing a pole position at Turkey, which was crazy to see as he slings it through the S's and onto the Red A Aposta down this fairly short straight. And he's purple through Sector 1, so maybe replicating the success of the driver of this car in real life. Let's continue to ride aboard with him because haven't seen much of Indigo this season. I don't even know if I've seen him in a race, but certainly looks incredibly pacey as we have a yellow flag up ahead in Sector 2. It looks like that is, I believe, iQuicks on an outlap, so hopefully that does not cause too much of a problem for Indigo because he seems to be absolutely flying on this lap. Coming around now onto the third sector, braking just about at the 50-meter board. There are yellow flags, but no double yellow, so he shouldn't have to slow down. No ERS deployment, and a short shift up into 6 kind of tells me that Indigo, yeah, he's going to duck into the pits. So purple through the first sector. I don't really know why that lap was aborted from Indigo. Maybe the yellow flags did hinder him a bit, but he will likely have one more run at it. So we'll see how the boys over at Racing Point do, because as of now they are in P14 and P16, so definitely looking to replicate some of the success they've had this season, especially with Karem. Certainly not in a position, in a favorable position. Obviously already won the championship, but to be honest, that's not a reason to stop gunning for it. I'm sure Karem knows that, and I'm sure Karem will try to be as competitive as possible. So I assume that he will go back out for a final run. As I say that, a Ferrari of, I believe that was SLR, maybe Andre. It says they're both in the pits. Looks like that was SLR. Yep. And there goes a Red Bull. Both Red Bulls, I think, are going to be joining the track now as Leroy absolutely rips it with a, I guess he was already on a lap with a 107. Flying for the S's here, sticking to the apexes fairly well, really opening up down the Red A Aposta with his teammate right behind him. Maybe a little bit of slipstream action with the Red Bull boys. We shall see as he now flies up the hill, entering the second sector, the most technical sector by far of the racetrack. He's got a Ferrari in front of him of, I believe that is, yep, that is SLR. SLR runs wide into that section, so unfortunately that's kind of a throwaway for him. If he gets back to the line within 30 seconds, which is possible if he really pushes it, he might get one lap in, albeit on worn tires, as Virus, wow, really improves. No, I thought that said 105, but it did not. It's still 106, but still a fairly decent lap. Leroy coming across the final banked curve here at Interlagos across the line. It is going to be a 107.1, pretty much identical to his last lap time, so no improvement there. Actually, it might have been an improvement of about 1/1000th of a second. His Red Bull teammate iQuicks is beginning his final flying lap, what will be his final flying lap. Down the S's here, just fairly easy, just flick it back and forth down through that section. open it up onto the Red A Pasta DRS Open. Getting speeds of over 200 miles an hour, 330, 335 kilometers per hour for most of our viewers, I believe, are using the metric system. Which, to be fair, I favor the metric system in all honesty. It's much easier. It's all tens and 100s instead of 5,280 feet in a mile. All very confusing, as Karem, yeah, actually does decide he's had enough. P14 for Karem, so definitely not the result he's looking for. Jamil as well, kind of thinking that he might not get anything better, although it does look like there's a car off. Is that Leroy? No, there's a Ferrari off at the end of the Red A Pasta. It looks like there were a couple cars off here. Now, iQuicks, can he improve on his time of a 1:27.2? The answer is yes, with a 1:06.8. Good enough for P3. Little wag of the wheel there. Certainly very happy with that. A Shadowblade goes up into P2 with a 1:06.7. Barring anything ridiculous from Nick, who was pulled alongside the side of the road, and the driving Dutchman, who looks to have lost the back end through that section, it does look like that Mems Virus is going to be your pole sitter for the Brazilian Grand Prix, followed by Shadowblade and Andre Jamil, assuming that the driving Dutchman doesn't pull something ridiculous out of the bag. We do see a purple sector there, so not all is lost yet for the driving Dutchman. It does look like, no, he's not gonna improve here. He's gonna keep it close all the way across the line. No, 1:07.1. Brings him up into P8. Leroy relegated to P9. Tough to see for him, but you know, sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. So Nick losing the back end there. It will be Mems Virus in P1, followed by Shadowblade and Andre. Dream Indigo in P4. Impressive performance for the can't even think, apparently. The Racing Point driver. iQuicks in P5, Alex Baumberg in P6, followed by SLR and the driving Dutchman in P7 and 8, respectively. They are followed by Leroy, Matt, aka Yodaspeak, and Javi, P9, 10, 11. Nick Pancras is P12, and the grid is rounded out by Pepin, Yuri, Karem, and Kimi. A little surprising to see those guys all the way down at the bottom. Certainly have had pace throughout the season, but guess it just didn't go their way in this qualifying session. But once Nick brings into the pits, that will conclude the session, and we will be able to kind of get on with it in our race session. And there is your confirmation. Mems Virus P1, Shadow in P2. Andre in his home Grand Prix grabs P3, so second grid spot for him, followed by Indigo. iQuicks and Alex on the third row. Fourth row consists of SLR and the driving Dutchman, and then the fifth row, math, consists of Leroy and Yoda, followed by Jabi, Nick, Pepin, Yuri, Karem, and Kimi. That will round out your grid for today, barring any late joins from any of the boys. So it is certainly shaping up to be a very, very exciting race that I am excited to get underway and see what these boys have in terms of race pace. Hopefully we see a lot of overtakes. Brazil, obviously a fairly overtake-friendly track. The boys were at Mexico last week, which is a similarly, I guess probably most likely not as much as Brazil, but again, a track that is fairly conducive to overtakes. Nothing like Monaco, obviously, one example. Other tracks that are to overtake, Hungary. Hungary's actually one of my personal favorite tracks, just because it kind of feels like a go-kart track, but also a track that is incredibly difficult to overtake at. But hopefully we see a lot of on-track action between the boys today. Just waiting for the drivers to load in here. And then we will get this show on the road. Well, formation lap first, and then the show will well and truly be on the road as the drivers take the grid for our formation lap here. I'm not going to do anything with the settings, like the UI or anything like that, just because I'll have to do it again once they're on the grid, but everything will be okay with the settings once the boys form up on the grid. So it's just honestly just way easier to wait for that, so that's what I'm going to do. So you see the boys weaving, trying to get some sort of oh, one thing I will do is show what tire they are on. Pretty much everyone going with the softs except Xabi, Yuri, and Karem going for the medium tire. So we will see which tire is the better choice probably pretty shortly. Obviously the boys on the medium tire gonna start off more slowly with less grip, but as the race goes on, that medium tire could be the better strategy. Honestly, I have no idea which one is better. I have just as much of a clue as those watching, but usually the medium tire is pretty good. As we see that predicted pit stop strategy, that makes no sense because that does not give us an option for the medium tire, so I think we might get an updated statistic on that shortly. As Virus pushed all the way ahead to the grid and left his fellow racers behind. That's a funny image there. But this run down to the Sen S is gonna be very, very important in terms of this race. I'd bet on Virus to stay ahead, but I have seen crazier things, so you know, we will wait and see. Obviously, we don't know anything until we see the race, so we're just waiting on that now. Looks like the boys at the end of the grid are forming up. Here we go. We should be underway shortly. I accidentally lost the UI there. 5 red lights, and away we go here at Interlagos. It looks like it's a fairly decent getaway from his Virus. Yes, it does look like he will lead into the incredibly short run down into T1. Down through the S is already kind of forming a bit of a lead. Jamil drops all the way down to P6. So does Alex Palmer down into P5. So not a great start for those guys. Kimmy and Indigo, I don't know if that's a glitch. No, it is not. Indigo dropped down 14 spots. There, that is not 14 spots. Let's see, he was in P3, so it's 8 spots. 5-second penalty for Karem, and there is a VSC already. Looks like Karem collided with Yoda Speak there, and unfortunately took him out. So as you see, Yoda dropped down 7 positions and then was out. It says Indigo went up 4, but that doesn't make much sense to me. But you know, whatever. There we go. Our settings should be good. Let me actually no, we're not gonna turn on left. We're gonna detail tire. There we go. We're all good. Really unfortunate for Matt, not the start he was looking for sure, as we are now under virtual safety car conditions. I'm just glad it's not a normal safety car, and it looks like we are back in the green flag racing conditions. So obviously that did not last very long at all, which is what we like to see, and it looks like the restart from Virus was pretty much flawless. No real changes in position, except I still quite honestly have no idea what's going on with Indigo. I thought he qualified P5, but I might have been wrong. I do tend to forget things like that, or misremember, I suppose, but that's the only real interesting development as of now. Virus still keeps a solid lead over Shadowblade and is out of DRS range, so that is good news for Virus. Karem, along with that 5-second time penalty, looks like he received some damage from that incident with Yoda, as he has pitted. So now off the medium tire onto the softs, probably a new front wing as well for Karem. And Virus seems to continue to stretch his lead out. So Shadow's going to have to keep it close over these next couple of laps, or it's just going to be a runaway victory, in all honesty. As Indigo is going to retire from the session as well. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. Where was Indigo? I do not see him on track. He is now just, I think, just sitting on in the pit lane right now. Yes, let's just say, driving Dutchman has gone onto the hard tire. Now that is an interesting strategy call. I like that. That's like a real TV broadcast now, but I also do like the information there. So we still have Virus from Shadowblade, from Andre, from iQuicks, and then down to SLR is our top 5. Javi, Leroy, Pepin, Kimmy, and Nick round out our middle 5, and then Yuri, Alex Bomberg all the way down into P12. I have no idea what happened to Alex Bomberg, but that's really unfortunate. Could have been involved in that collision if it was a collision with Indigo, but in all honesty, just really unsure about that one. Maybe we will see that onboard perspective later, but as of now, Virus has a solid lead in this one. As the driving Dutchman is going to be our 3rd retirement. Where is his car? I do not. Oh, it is. I see it on track. It is in the 2nd sector. Looks like he's maybe made a mistake there. We'll see if his car is still there as we follow Virus down, or I suppose up and then down through that section. This 2nd sector is kind of based on a hill, so you go up and then down through the section you go down, and then you're coming up again through this other section. You take this hairpin and then you head back down the hill, and of course his car despawned. Now, is there a wall there? There is a wall there, so he could have spun it and then ran into that wall. I do think that is what happened. As you see, Dream Indigo and Yoda don't have DNS next to their name, but Driving Dutchman does. I don't know if that means that Dutchman collided with something and they didn't. And there is a safety car. Safety car has been deployed. This is not a virtual safety car. This is a normal safety car. And Karen, I'm sure, is ecstatic right now, as I think we'll see. I was about to say we'll see most of our runners duck in, but it looks like almost no one is pitting. We do see a few more guys funnel down into the pit lane, but we do now see Andre has taken the lead of this Grand Prix. What a great way to I was going to say end the season, but I suppose they are not ending the season. But a home Grand Prix win is kind of the goal of every driver, one of the best feelings. So that'll be great if you can continue that result. His tires, let's see, are 4 laps old, so obviously he will be at a disadvantage from guys like Virus and Shadow when they decide to pit, or not pit, when Andre decides to pit rather, because those tires will fall off much before them. Especially considering that some of them have changed compounds. Virus has look to go into the hard tire, and it is conceivable that those tires go all the way. It's not impossible. It's going to take some absolutely ridiculous tire management, I will tell you that, but I think it is doable. So a gamble from Virus. He may have to pit one more time towards the end of this race for soft tires, which I'm sure he won't mind. Those are, of course, the faster tire, and it might help him to do that on low fuel to get a fast lap and an extra point in this championship fight. I guess not championship fight, but the 2nd place fight. I'm sure Renault will also be happy to grab an extra point for that Constructors' Championship battle. So obviously that might be an option if he decides that going on to the soft tires is the better decision. He will do so at the end of the race. Towards the end of the race, rather. Javi receives a 5-second time penalty for collision with SLR. I believe that was under safety car. Stewards might have to look at that one. I just don't really know what happened. So we will see. I will assume that penalty sticks. Usually they do. But like I said, stranger things have happened. So we will wait and see on that. I think that to have that penalty overturned, it needs to come with an appeal from the driver. So if there's no appeal there, then that penalty will stand. And most everyone gets a 5-second penalty by the end of the race. So in all honesty, they kind of like equal out. Because obviously if one driver gets a 5-second penalty, the other driver gets a 5-second penalty, their final times are going to be the same because those two penalties cancel out. The problem is when you either get 2 penalties and the other driver gets 1, or one driver gets 1 penalty and the other driver gets none. That's when the penalties start to add up and really hurt your race. Especially 5 seconds in a race like this where we've seen that it's been super duper tight. That is certainly something you want to avoid. Still under safety car conditions here for another lap, it looks like. Is that Karem? No, it is not. Is that the... yeah, that's Andre slowing it down by the safety car. Oh, it does look like the safety car is bringing it in. So we have green flag conditions here. Andre looks like a pretty decent getaway for him from iQuicks here. And it is a Ferrari 1-3 as of now, obviously. Things are going to change. This is not going to be your final race results. As Andre is going to use some overtake mode down the Red A Pasta to get away from iQuicks, who seems to be right on his tail. Yeah, right up his gearbox there as they come around these two double left-handers, not two double left-handers, the double left-hander up the hill towards the second sector. Generates a bit of a gap headed up the hill there, but iQuicks is certainly right on his tail, and he'll be licking his chops once they enter the third sector, because you can get a long run around that bank turn with some overtake mode and some slipstream and eventually DRS as you reach the DRS zone. That's a pretty easy overtake to make. It's the longest straight on the circuit, and obviously it's the fastest part of the circuit, so if you're going to make an overtake somewhere, that's where you're going to do it. Or that's where it's going to be the easiest for you. No overtake done on that lap. Although, there is no DRS. I just realized that we still have to wait 3 laps after a safety car for DRS to come in. I do wish they changed that rule. I really don't particularly understand it, but it is what it is, I suppose. And Javi is just so far back. You see on the minimap he's headed through the Senna S's when the rest of the pack is about to begin the third sector. So, pretty strange to see that, but just kind of got to push on in races like that. I know it's really frustrating for him, especially a driver that's as quick as him. But he's just got to keep going. And iQuicks now out of DRS range and under attack from SLR with DRS enabled. He will have it, assuming he somehow... the activation zone is actually right there, so SLR will have overtake mode. Let's get to his perspective really quick. He's right on the gearbox, DRS active on iQuicks and down the Red A Pasta. Fairly simple. So we have a Ferrari 1-2 in lap 9 of this Grand Prix. Great stuff from the boys in red. I'm sure the... I'm forgetting the word from it. The Ferrari fans. I just totally brain farted. I don't know what the Italian name is. I know there is a name for it. Let me find that now because I don't want to look like a total scrub not knowing it. It's going to be one of those things when I look it up that's going to be like, oh, duh. The Tifosi, duh. The Tifosi, I'm sure, are thrilled with that 1-2 right now. and SLR almost breaking DRS range to iQuicks. So iQuicks not looking very iQuick at all, even though they are on the same tire and the same tire wear. Disappointing stuff from the Red Bull driver. Obviously, P3 is still fantastic, but you know, he seems to be slipping back. As you see, he's almost a second and a half behind SLR. SLR was behind him only a lap ago. So it looks like the Ferrari boys just have boatloads of pace. Big lockup from SLR there into that corner, but looks like he's fine. That's a really cool angle coming down the hill there. Seeing both the cars pass. That familiar cherry red Ferrari. Been a staple of the F1 grid for pretty much forever. That's an even cooler shot. For some reason, the camera angles are just really cool here. As we see, we saw in the background there, Javi Mateos making his way up to the rest of the pack, slowly but surely. I think that gap has closed a bit. He is on the soft tires, chasing down at the end of the pack Yuri, who is on fairly worn medium tires. So new soft tires, worn medium tires. We know what happens there, as Yuri looks like he's going to duck into the pits and retire. Yeah, like I said, frustrating race to be at the bottom of the pack for Yuri. Very, very quick driver, very, very capable driver. But it was, you know, just, I guess, not his race, as Javi now inherits P12. And now he will try to chase down Karem, who is on worn soft tires. So, same compound, but Javi's got fresher tires. When the pit stops roll around, it is a net loss of around 20 to 21 seconds. So keep that in mind if you see some gaps that you're looking at. But it looks like that the Ferraris are just kind of running away with it as of now, as the Williams of Kimi gets past iQuicks. So Kimi, one of two South American drivers. Obviously, this is the only F1 race in South America, at least in this current calendar. So both Kimi at least is on his home continent. Obviously, Andre in his home country. But both these guys looking to show off for their fans, and looks like they're doing so as of now. Barring any calamity, it looks like that things are going pretty smoothly for the Ferrari boys. Now, I'm not sure if they want to race each other like crazy, like if SLR closes the gap. I don't know if Jamil is gonna, or if Andre rather is going to fight super hard, but we will see. Gap is not closing very quickly, but it does look like it's at about a tenth of a. Oh my goodness, Andre is off. Andre is off at the second sector. Oh my goodness, that's the place where the driving Dutchman lost it, I believe. Just running into the wall there. That is just so unfortunate. Pit window is open, as we see down in the bottom right hand corner, but that is so unfortunate for Andre. That is just really tough to see. You know, you never want guys to crash out of races, especially their home race. So that is just really unfortunate for Andre there. You know, thoughts go out to him. That's really tough way to end that race. And just looking back on the stream at that incident, I didn't really catch it on my end, but luckily we do have some replay ability here. Obviously, it's only my perspective, so I might miss it, but that is so strange. Yeah, it just looks like he dumps it under throttle. I don't see it on my point of view, but it just looks like he gets a little throttle happy and runs wide and just runs into the wall down through there. So unfortunate for him. We have another yellow flag, and it looks like we. Oh my goodness! What just happened? What happened to both the Red Bulls? Now I gotta watch a replay again. I was watching a replay and I missed another incident. Both the Red Bulls out. What in the world is going on? They're dropping like flies in Brazil. So it looks like Leroy was out earlier. It looks like they both pitted and retired. No, it looks like iQuick's rejoined. Alright, I'm gonna keep one eye on my phone and one eye on the screen right now because I need to keep track of everything as SLR. We saw him make a pit stop on the hard tire. That will most definitely last him the rest of the race. And yeah, iQuick's just, I don't know, very, very strange stuff. Very, very strange. And now Virus, who was the pole sitter, lost the lead fairly early in this race after a pit stop when the rest of the field did not pit. Has now re-inherited the lead with 21 laps to go. I guess it's technically 22 because you got to count the 36th lap as well. So 22 laps out of 36 to go with Virus in the lead here, and Alex Bomberg bringing up P2. So very interesting developments here with pit stops, kind of cars down the order making their pit stops from top to bottom. We're still waiting on quite a few drivers. It looks like Karem, Pepin, Nick, Alex, Shadow, and Jabi have already pitted. Actually, looks like everyone except, I don't know if Kimi has pitted yet. It looks like he's not pitted. He's on 14 laps on those soft tires, unless he pitted lap 1. Yellow flag in sector 3. That is for Karem. Yeah, looks like Karem maybe dropped it under power, but looks like we are all good now, and the circuit is green. Let's follow Virus now down the hill, back up the hill. It's really actually pretty cool, all the elevation changes here. In the Interlagos, this is built in the Interlagos neighborhood of Brazil, as we see another Williams in the background there. Another cool angle. And so the Williams now bringing up the back of the pack, but Kimi has already stopped. Or not already stopped, has recently stopped. I always think Virus is going into the pits because it always seems like he's right on the edge of the pit entry. But it would not make sense for him to pit, obviously, on those hard tires. But it looks like he's in a bit of a world of his own. Alex Bomberg, about three and a quarter seconds back of him. So he'll certainly see him in his mirrors, but as of now, Alex doesn't pose any real threat, except for the fact that he is on the soft tire. So he's certainly going to be quicker, but he will have to make another pit stop. Again, another super cool angle that shows the elevation changes of Interlagos. Virus actually, contrary to my original theory, looks to have extended his gap by about almost 0.3 of a second down this final sector. So I don't know if it's a setup difference. Maybe Virus went for more straight line speed, sacrificing some of that downforce. Though through the S's, it looks like he has boatloads of downforce. So don't really know what's causing Alex to drop back like this. Part of it could be that he's on 12 lap old soft tires, so certainly not the freshest. They'll be falling off shortly. As we saw, Kimi got 14 or 15 laps out of his soft tires before he had to pit. So those tires will kind of start to fall off fairly shortly, I think, if Kimi's tire data is anything to go by. Virus not really racing anyone, just focusing on putting in laps and making sure they're as fast as possible as we're halfway through this Grand Prix. Just kind of putting your head down, focusing on what's ahead of you, not worrying about who's in your mirrors. And it's certainly working out. Gains about another 2/10 on this lap. And it looks like Alex is not going to pit, interestingly enough. So he'll go a bit longer than Kimmy. Nick Pancras comes in with 12 lap old soft tires, so maybe those tires have kind of started to fall off for him. Yeah, 9 drivers left. It's been one of those races. It's certainly it's been interesting to say the least. Some, retirements from, I think, just frustrated drivers. Some retirements from various on-track incidents. Most detrimentally, Andre, who was in P1, dropped it under too much power and kind of crashed right around where Virus is coming through now, as we see a yellow flag in Sector 2. Is that oh my goodness. The bad luck continues for Ferrari. Looks like SLR has spun it. I don't know if he is still going or what's... Yeah, looks like he is still going, albeit now in last place. So what looked like to be a pretty dominant 1-2 for Ferrari is turning into an absolute disaster. And I'm sure the Tifosi are incredibly upset right now because that is just not what they're looking for. Alex Palmer does fits a pair of medium tires. Looks like he will emerge in front of Nick, most likely. It's going to be close, actually, because the pit exit here is really interesting. You don't even exit until you're halfway through Sector 1, down to the Red A Pasta. But yes, you will emerge on track in front of Nick Pancras. Now Pepin in P2. So the McLarens are doing pretty decent as SLR decides it's best to retire the car. Could have snagged some points, obviously, with 9 cars left. Everyone is kind of guaranteed to get points, but now there's only 8 left. And it's a really empty racetrack here at Interlagos. We will see if we will lose any more racers. Obviously, with no one really racing each other right now, they're all kind of in a world of their own. There's no real room for incidents. If Virus keeps extending this gap, there'll be a free pit stop in it for him, so we'll probably take advantage of it. He could switch to the soft tires around lap 25, 26 maybe, and that would take him to the end very easily if there's enough time for a pit stop. Pepin and Shadowblade would both have to take those tires 30 laps. 30 laps on a medium tire it doesn't really make much sense, but like for a hard tire, 30 laps may or may not be attainable. I don't really have any data on that. Virus is the only one who's going to know how his tires are looking and feeling, but we'll see. Again, he needs a gap of about 21, 22 seconds to make that free pit stop happen without losing any track position. But yeah, he's just in a world of his own. He's on the Red A Pasta when the McLarens are on the front straight, so he truly is absolutely flying. Gains about a second in that lap. So Pepin's got to do his best to track down the Flying Dutchman. I know that nickname can be applied to about half the grid, but Virus certainly proving it today with some absurd pace, both race pace and qualifying pace, which is good to see. Virus is a guy that has always had super strong qualifying pace, has not always turned that into a fast race, but certainly putting together the complete package today, both in qualifying and in race. about 13 laps to go now in our race, and nothing has changed. 8 drivers, all on various different strategies, all in kind of their own personal bubble. And this is really the stage of the race where drivers just find their rhythm and kind of fly away, as Virus is currently doing, almost an 18.5-second gap. So he's just gonna, just keep pushing. Jesus, I saw Kimi and Javi switch places, and I thought we lost another driver, but no, it's just Javi and Pepin both pitting. Says Javi's still in the pit, and he still is. It's kind of comical how long the pit lane is. Kind of mirrors the Senna S's all the way down onto the Red A Pasta, as Virus thinks he has enough of the gap to go ahead and pit. I believe it's either 20.7 or 21.7 seconds that you need to get a free pit stop. But I mean, just visually, it looks like he will do this with absolutely no problem. Maybe a little overestimate there in the actually, no, look, they come flying down the front straight. Virus is gonna have to get a move on. He fits a medium tire. I wonder if he just didn't have any soft tires at his disposal. But Virus is going to emerge in P1. So a free pit stop for the Renault man, and he's just going to try to keep this rhythm going all the way in these final 11.5 laps to push all the way to the end and hopefully take this victory. Race that he's kind of dominated start to finish. Only reason that Andre was in P1 is because Virus pitted under safety car when no one else did. In all honesty, that move is interesting, because if Andre doesn't crash out, I think that Virus could find himself pretty far down the grid. And he might have been kind of kicking himself about pitting that early under safety car. But as you know, in F1, things are kind of uncertain. You never really know what's happening. He obviously couldn't have known that Andre was going to crash, but it was a stroke of good luck for him, and now he can kind of just cruise to the finish line. It doesn't look like Alex Bomberger is going to gain any time on him. That gap is just going to continue to grow as he makes his way through the Sao Paulo sunlight, most likely on his way to another victory here. Looks like Shadow is going to pit for the soft tire for these final 10 laps. Maybe going to go for a fast lap for an extra point for both him and the McLaren F1 team. Still only P6. As I say that, Kimi does jump him, and he goes P7. And as I say that, Javi sets a fastest lap to, as of now, get the extra point for Williams. Losing the back end is Virus, just maybe struggling to get some temperature into those tires. We see that pretty often. With the harder compound tires, they're not grippy at all to start your stint, but once you just continue to get some laps on them, continue to get temperature on the tires. That's why I was confused as to why Virus took mediums, because of how hard they're to get temperature into. By the time he's going to get those up to temperature, there's only 7 laps left. At that point, you might as well just put on a soft tire. But Virus, the strategy call is to fit on that medium, and that's what he did. And I mean, who might argue? It certainly is working. He's staying in front of Alex, which is all he needs to do. As we get a good look behind him there, you can't really see Alex until he makes his way onto the Red A Pasta. So yeah, It's nothing much else to say. Alex is again kind of in a world of his own. 8 seconds back to Nick, who has kind of quietly been very competitive in this race in P3 as he makes his way past whatever was that, a body of water there? I didn't know there was water in Interlagos. The more you know. But yeah, Nick, impressive stuff. Virus, obviously impressive stuff. Kind of dominant from 5 red lights to the checkered flag. And Alex is got quite the task in front of him, as he does get a 3-second time penalty for setting track limits, and I think that kind of ends his chances of catching Virus. Not that his chances were incredibly great before. I just think that's kind of the final nail in the coffin. An extra 3 seconds is incredibly difficult to make up, especially on a driver as skilled as Virus. Now, just under 9 laps to go. I always forget to add 1 lap from what it looks like. And Virus continues to extend his lead, now up to 5.5 seconds. Back to Alex Bomberg. Still using overtake mode, still pushing. I love that from Virus, always trying to, continue to improve, continue to get quicker and quicker and quicker. And he certainly has done that as he goes fastest on medium tires. No wonder he turned on overtake mode there. Kind of knew that there's an extra point in it. He, as of now, is in position for the full haul of points. We got suspension in the back. It's impressive engineering from Renault. I know it has nothing to do with in-game like performance. Obviously, suspension does have something to do with performance, but it is kind of cool to take a step back and look at just what an impressive piece of machinery that F1 cars are. It's really incredible. I, for one, am super excited about the upcoming regulation changes and what different teams are going to do. But yes, in other F1 news, obviously Turkish Grand Prix tomorrow. One of my favorite tracks. He goes purple again. He's just getting quicker and quicker as his car loses fuel, gets lighter and lighter, and those tires are kind of in the green zone, I'd say, as of now. This is where you're going to get the best pace out of your tires. They're not worn, but they also have temperature in them. So I would not be surprised if we see another fastest lap. But Turkish Grand Prix tomorrow, one of my favorite tracks. I'm glad they've brought back some classic tracks this year. It's been good to see in a year that otherwise has been pretty terrible. Unfortunately, it is at 6 a.m. For me, so I will most likely be watching the race highlights later. So I will not be watching that. But my friends in Europe and the UK, I hope you guys enjoy that. That'll be a nice midday race for you. But it's going to be much too early for me as Shadowblade picks up the fastest lap on the fresh soft tires. Again, those tires kind of in that perfect zone where there's a lot of temp in them, but also they're not worn at all. So that's kind of where you're going to get the best lap times out of them. So Shadow takes advantage in a solid P5. I say solid P5, but we only have 1 through 8. So not that Shadow hasn't done some great work. I mean, he qualified incredibly well, and he's been quick all race. Some of the, the luck hasn't gone his way. Speaking of luck, Harem started P14, now in P4. Let's look at position change. Let's see who's benefited the most from this absolute insanity. Karem up 10 places, Nick up 8, Kimi up 8 as well. So Karem benefiting the most, obviously, but Nick up 8 places into a podium position nonetheless. Really impressive stuff. It's interesting. Virus really runs it really close to that curve, as Shadowblade just did. But guys like Karem and Pepin kind of take it a little wider up onto that banking. So it's interesting to see the different technique from the different drivers. As Shadowblade picks up a penalty, pushing a little too hard, most likely, throughout that section. 5 laps to go now, and nothing much has changed. Virus continuing his dominance. It's been quick, all virtual weekend, and he's obviously just been pretty dominant. Looking down the order, we haven't really touched on these guys. We talked a little bit about Shadowblade. Pepin not having the best race, certainly not the Williams boys, even though they are P7 and P8, which is a decent haul of points. It's just not what they were looking for today, especially in a race that has, next to no people. 8th place, normally a solid finish, but it will be last place in this race. So it's a little bittersweet, I think. Scoring points, but it's certainly hard to not have a negative mindset when you're in last place, even though it is P8. Three to go from a, I would say uneventful, because all in all there haven't been any crazy overtakes. It's been fairly boring. It's obviously not uneventful when you only have 8 drivers to finish the race, but in terms of on-track action, not much has happened, but now, I don't like to call drivers lucky, because I feel like the lucky driver stereotype is taken away from drivers' natural ability, and obviously we've seen that Virus is an incredibly fast driver. I mean, he's snagged pole positions. I still remember his performance in Vietnam in round 1. Using a dry setup in what were almost full wet conditions, he was 3 seconds faster than the rest of the group. But you do kind of think that if Andre hadn't crashed, then Virus would be mad at himself for pitting that early, because not a lot of the other front runners pitted under that safety car. And without Andre's crash, I feel like we might have a very different result. But obviously, that's all in the past, and what we have now is a dominant victory from Virus. White flags here for the final lap of this Grand Prix, as Virus will come across the line to begin his final lap. The rest of the drivers will follow in tow, and he can just kind of cruise on to the finish line. Obviously doesn't want to make a last lap mistake, but yeah. I mean, what else is there to say? It's just it's a fantastic performance. One that I'm sure Virus will be super happy with. And one that I'm sure the Renault team principal will obviously be thrilled with. Not really sure who has the fastest lap as of now. It might still be Shadowblade, so McLaren might be seeing themselves grabbing an extra point for their Constructors Championship endeavors. Also with Pepin in P5, that will certainly help them a lot. but through the second sector, Virus goes. You probably won't even be seeing Alex Bomberg on this lap. Even going purple through the second sector, not backing off at all is Virus. That's incredible to see. He could have easily just gone, 200 kilometers an hour around that entire circuit, and he could have gone as fast as an F2 car and won that. But Virus is going to be your winner here at Interlagos Raceway. And of course, he sets the fastest lap on his last lap, because why wouldn't he? An extra point for Renault in their fight for third place in the Constructors' Championship. And a big help for Virus as he tries to snag second place from Alex Bomberg in the Drivers' Championship. So that's going to be a net 8-point gain on Virus. Or on Alex Bomberg, rather. So let's check what your current standings are. Let me go see if I can do math. That is never a guarantee, obviously, but we will see if the math skills are there as of now. Let me just pull up the standings. So, Karem, I don't know how many points Karem grabbed. Let's see, P4 is 10 points, maybe 10 points, so Karem is going to be on 195 points. Chance for a 200-point season for Karem, which would obviously be a fantastic showing in a 14-race season. Alex will be getting 18 points, so 118 points for Alex. Virus will be getting 33 points, so it'll be 110 points. So 118, 110 is the gap. No, it's 33. That's 110. No, not 33. It's 26 points. So it's 103 to 118. So the gap is still fairly big. But as we see now, Lens Virus is your 2020 Vrl F2 Brazilian Grand Prix champion, with Alex Bomberg in P2 and Nick Pancras in the Alfa Romeo with a really, really fantastic showing in P3. Final grid here. Virus P1, Alex P2, Nick P3. Your championship winner, Karem P4, up 10 spots. Pepin P5, Kimi P6, Javi P7, and Shadow P8. And then we have our slew of DNFs after that. Unfortunately, guys, I am not going to be able to do the post-race interviews. I am on a bit of a time crunch. I have somewhere to be at 2:30, so we're not going to be able to do those. But again, thank you so much for being here along with me. Another fantastic race, one that I really enjoyed. And I will see you guys for Abu Dhabi. Adios.